Hello football fans on our wonderful British Isles and indeed right across Europe. Welcome to the first official UKEndZone football programme. This is the first and hopefully a long running series of podcasts, and in the run up to the draft we're going to be breaking down every division in the National Football League. But let's start with the breaking news for today that I tweeted out this morning. I woke up with a flood of texts and emails this morning from my friends in the States all about the situation regarding Darrell Revis and the Jets. Sources have reported that the Jets GM John Idzik and Atlanta Falcons GM Thomas Dimitrov have a quote-unquote gentleman's agreement in place to trade Revis to the Falcons. These early reports have suggested that the Falcons will pay the pricely sum of a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. It's a huge war chest of picks to pay from Dimitrov, but himself and coach Mike Smith might convince themselves it's the final piece missing to bring that elusive ring to Atlanta. But in my honest opinion, I think it's too high a price to pay for a man who's going to hit free agency next year. He might only be on your roster for 2 years if you franchise him the year after this first. For 3 top-end draft picks, I think it's too big a price to pay. For me, the speculation is being brought into the public eye from either the Revis camp or from the Jets, who are trying to set a benchmark of where teams will have to meet to move Revis to their city. Okay, so I thought I'd just quickly bring you up to speed on the latest news coming out of the NFL this morning. Coming at you are midday on Wednesday. Of course, we know it's a 24/7 league in the National Football League, so by the time that you hear this, the situation's probably changed, but the early reports suggest that Revis will either be a Jet or a Falcon by next year. Okay, so we're going to get straight down now to breaking down the first division that we'll be looking at in the National Football League. That's the AFC West. Let me just remind you before I get onto this that you can head up to UKEndZone.com and you can check out a fan from each franchise who's done a state of the franchise piece about their current ball club. So if you want to go and see it from a fan's perspective rather than an objective opinion, slightly biased Pat's opinion, then head over there now and you can read some biased stuff. We've got most teams up by now. So we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs, the worst team in the league last year, finishing with an abysmal record of 2-14 under the guidance of Romeo Crennel. But it's Crennel and Castle out, Reed and Smith in. The Chiefs are in an immediate better position. I played devil's advocate this week by tweeting out that the Chiefs were now contenders, and I was deliberately mysterious in my premise of contenders when I tweeted that out, and I received a hell of a lot of fan reaction back. So let me just set the record straight now. The Chiefs were not a 2-14 team last year. They had 6 Pro Bowls on their roster in Eric Berry, Derek Johnson, Tamba Harley, Jamal Charles, Dustin Colquitt and Justin Houston. And that's without even mentioning their 2 key players in Dwayne Bowe, who signed a huge 5-year deal this week, which makes him the 3rd highest paid receiver in the league, and Brandon Albert, who they also tagged this week, and he's widely considered a top offensive lineman within the game, whether that be lining up at his favourite tackle position or moving back to his position of guard that he played in college. So if we start to put all those pieces together, we've got a head coach with a winning tradition. Reed may have had a bad time in the last 2 years in Philly, but we know that he's done well time and time again. He continuously makes average QBs look like top 10 players in the league. Time and time again, he got the Eagles to the forefront of the incredibly difficult NFC East. Of course, he never got them over that final hump and brought them Lombardi. But now place this coach, this quarterback-minded coach, who makes average talent look really good before cashing in. And let's give him a good, talented quarterback, and let's see if he can make Alex Smith look great. Smith will be the first consistent and reliable quarterback Andy Reid's had in this league. Donovan McNabb, Kevin Cobb, Vince Young, Michael Vick are all guys that Reid's had, and we all know they're all just consistently inconsistent. Alex Smith turns that model on his head. He's one of the most well put together quarterbacks in the league in terms of his throw mechanic, movement in the pocket, and critically he does not turn the ball over. Turn the tape on for 2 minutes and Alex Smith, you'll see it's just a model of efficiency. He's all about the percentage plays. He doesn't have the massive cannon arm of these other guys, but he's about percentages. He's about handing the ball off, not turning the ball over, and he wins you games. You know, after the debacle that the Chiefs have had at signal calls over the last few years, Alex Smith is a genuinely good player. You can put him under centre. I know some people classify him as a game manager, but I don't see much wrong with that. I hate that word. I don't see it as a bad word. He can just hand the ball off to a Pro Bowl running back in Jamal Charles, hand that off 50 times a game, split the carries. He can make the throws when necessary, and he doesn't put the ball in harm's way, which is the key thing. Now you can look to put those pieces around him. This week the Chiefs, as I said, put the franchise tag on Brandon Albert. The Chiefs also sit on the first overall pick. I think the common consensus is that they're going to take either Luke Jokel, who's going number 1 in my mock draft, or Eric Fisher out of Central Michigan, both of them offensive tackles. Each of them are equally pro-ready. If you get one of these guys in and move Brandon Albert inside to the left guard position, then now you're giving Alex Smith all the time in the world to sit back, make his read and make his throws. So now in the mix, we've got a guy who can make the throws, he's got all the time to make the throws, and I have to sit there as a GM or a coach and say, does he have anyone to throw to? And if you sat there as the Chiefs, in your case, it's hell yeah. Dwayne Bowe is one of the most dominant receivers in the league, and now he's being paid as such. He just signed a 5-year deal to make him the 3rd highest paid receiver in the league. He might not be in Calvin Johnson's level, but not many people are. If you look at some of those dodgy secondaries in the AFC West, you can see it's Smith to Bowe consistently breaking some D's down, and now they're moving forward. They've got 6 division games in the year. If you can beat up on those secondaries all season long, then you're in with the shot within your division. So like I said, are the Chiefs a contender in the AFC West? Let's recap. You have to say yes with all those points I brought up. They can use round 2 to round 7 in the draft if they scout well to go all out on defense. They still have some cap room and some money left to go and attract some free agents. Maybe look at corner again. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie's out there. Nnamdi Asomugha might be coming up to Aqib Talib. So they can really improve on defense in those positions using free agency, and if they scout well for the draft. And they've already got those pieces that I've said there. They set the number 1 pick, which is a big help at the tackle position. So as I said, I really think they can run the Broncos close this year. So let's look at the Oakland Raiders then. If you're doing a pre-season power ranking, I think you'd have the Oakland Raiders in at 32nd overall in the league. I have to say, not just in the AFC West, but in the entire NFL. They'll have the worst position going into the pre-draft free agency phase than anyone in the league. They have some huge off-season decisions to make that are going to impact this franchise for up to 5 to 10 years, and it all stems from that one thing, that one burning question: what do the Raiders do at the quarterback position? I've been sat here brainstorming for some time, and I think there's 3 options, logical options that the Oakland Raiders can go for at their quarterback position. The first option is the face-saving option. That's to bring Carson Palmer back. The former Bengals star has been an utter bust since his ridiculous trade to the Raiders last year, wasn't it? But one thing that does remain with Carson Palmer, and that's his arm strength. It may not be up there with what it was when he was at his peak, but it's easy to forget that this guy's only 31. He's not the 35, 36 sort of age boundary with your Brady's, your Brees and your Mannings. He's only 31. And if there's anything that we get taught by the recent history in the NFL, if you don't have one of these elite so-called quarterbacks, you need a quarterback with a cannon arm who can hit that deep ball, and we all know Palmer can still do that. Option 2 for the Oakland Raiders front office is a fan appeasement one. It's something that I know with having some friends from Oakland. It's what the Raider fan base is crying out for, what they were crying out for all last year, and that's to make Terrell Pryor the starting quarterback. Pryor was a 3rd round pick in the 2011 supplemental draft. He has that ability to run the read option that's starting to take a grip on the league. But I do think that the Oakland fan base is being persuaded by turning on their TV and seeing the likes of RG3 and Russell Wilson running that type of offense. And let's make it clear, it's pretty obvious, Terrell Pryor is no Robert Griffin III or Russell Wilson. Those guys